All right, so these are some examples from the Math IXL BB.3. So you have a quadratic equation, which is something where you have a variable that's squared, and they just want us to fill in the table. What are these values equivalent to? So for the first one, they use f of v equals v squared. Well, f of v is the same thing as y equals. This is just that function notation. So what they want us to do is they want to take each of these values and plug it in here for v. So this would be negative 4 squared. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. The next one we're plugging in negative 2. Negative 2 squared would be 4. Plug in 0 and square it, you get 0. And finally plug in 2, square that, you'll get 4. Now have the graphing calculator out. If you have your graphing calculator, you can do this all right in the graphing calculator. It'll figure it out for you. So you're going to hit this y equals button up in the top left corner. We're going to put this equation in. Now you don't have a v on your calculator, but you have an x, and x is right next to the green alpha button. So it's x squared. There's a square button down here along that left column. And then we're going to this table function. Now the table is written in blue, which means you have to hit the blue key first to get there. So second and the graph button. And then we can type in these values here, or you might have to scroll depending on how you have your graphing calculator set up. I like to have mine set up that I can just type the numbers in. So these y values then are all these answers we just came up with, 16, 4, 0, and 4. And then we can do the same thing for this next example here. I try to pick ones that would get harder, so as you get to a harder one later on, you're not confused. So same idea for this one. This is f of t. That's the same as y equals negative 5t squared. They gave us 4 values here for t. So the first thing we'll have will be negative 5. Our first value for t is negative 2, so negative 2 squared. Now remember, order of operations says do this exponent part first. So negative 2 squared is positive 4, and positive 4 times negative 5 is going to give us negative 20. If I plug in the next one, I'll have negative 5 times negative 1 squared. So negative 1 squared is 1 times that 5 out in front is negative 5. Next one, we're plugging in 0. So 0 squared is 0 times negative 5 is still 0. And then negative 5 times 1 squared is 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Again, we can do this in the calculator. Hit your y equals button. We'll just clear out what you have in there. And now for this one, it's negative 5t squared. Just be careful. Make sure you're using this negative button down here, not the minus sign over there. So negative 5, and it's x squared instead of t. And then we'll just go to that table, second and graph, and we can type these numbers in, negative 2, negative 1, 0 and 1, or you'll use your up and down arrows and just scroll up and down. It'll give you those 4 values there. All right, moving on to a couple more examples. Again, I just tried to give you ones that got more complicated as we went here. So for this one, we have f of k equals k squared plus 1. So again, if we do this right in the calculator, x squared plus 1. And we can plug the values in by hand. It would be negative 4 squared plus 1. Exponents come first, so that'll be negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17. Negative 2 squared plus 1, negative 2 squared is 4, plus 1 is 5. 0 squared plus 1 will be 0. 2 squared plus 1 will give you 5. And again, in your calculator, you could type these in, negative 2, 0, and 2, and we get the same values that we came up with. All right, the next one then, f of u equals u squared plus u. So they give us a couple of terms to plug in for our x. So this would be negative 2 squared plus negative 2. Well, negative 2 squared is 4, plus negative 2 would be 4 minus 2, which is 2. 0 squared plus 0 is going to give us 0. 2 squared plus 2. 2 squared is 4, plus 2 is 6. And then 4 squared plus 4, that's going to be 16 plus 4, which is 20. Now this, as they get more complicated, is where having the graphing calculator is really nice, because we can type this in. It would be x squared plus x, and second in table, type in those 4 values in. There we go, 2, 0, 6, and 20. You don't have to do all this arithmetic off to the side if you have the calculator. All right, and then just a couple more. Negative k squared. I feel like we already did one that was like this. The negative is out in front. We're plugging -1 into the value for k. So this negative is still out in front. -1 squared is 1, so your answer is -1. Negative, plug in 0, square the 0 first, you get 0 times negative would be -0, which is just 0. Negative times 1 squared is -1, and negative times 2 squared is -4. Again, that would be a good one to put in the calculator, because it will do the order of operations for you even if you forget. So -x squared, and then go to your table. -1, 0, 1, and 2. And get those same values. All right, and then finally this last one here, I gave you one of the toughest ones. This will be towards the end. With your calculator, we'll have x squared plus 5x plus 9, because remember the calculator doesn't have these other different values in there. So if I put this in, well, by hand, this one's not a lot of fun. -4 squared, 5 times -4 plus 9, just plugging in -4 in those places for a. So that's 16. 5 times -4 is -20. Plus the 9, this gives me what? -4 plus 9 is +5. And we can keep going. Since I have it typed in the calculator, let's put it in the calculator here so we don't have to do all the arithmetic there. So second in calculate, here are 4 values, -2, 0, and 2. So we did get 5 for that first one. -2 gives us +3. 0 gives us 9. You can see that if you plug in 0, that'll be 0, that'll be 0, plus 9 would give you 9. And then when you plug in 2, you get 23. I know they're a little hard to see on the calculator there, but that's the idea. So that's what you're doing for this one. So take your time with it as you go through and you solve these problems. If you have your graphing calculator, use your graphing calculator. Just be careful of using that negative sign when it's a negative or a minus sign if it falls between two terms there. All right, good luck.